all the sediment that actually affects the Sudanese, and they will save about $11 million that they spend every year in clearing. So actually, we need to be realistic. We need to play politics as well as engineering. The only way that we can maintain a safe flow for our river, the river Nile that we always knew, is to have very close relations with our friends in the south. Ethiopia, Congo, Rwanda, Burundi, all of these countries, we need to be very careful, and we should have very good diplomatic representation in it. We should tie ourselves with more agreements, because we always join the trade agreements, the COMESA, and all of these agreements in a very late stage. And we still believe in unilateral relations, not a group. We are not a team player. We still believe in single dealing with the country. We need to have a different policy. We need to understand the nature of Egyptian Africa. There is we are Africans. We forgot that.
But Doctor, do you think that President Mohamed Morsi has done that in the several few months that he has been?
I don't think so. It requires a full-time job. This is a full-time job. To rectify the mistakes we've done in the past will take a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of concentration, a lot of respect, a lot of transparency. We need a full-time project to strengthen our relations with Ethiopia, with Congo, with the south of Sudan, with Sudan itself. We could make up for the loss of the 17 billion cubic meters if we perform about 3-4 different projects in Sudan.
What kind of projects are we speaking of here?
To make up only for the loss of this water, there is 4 projects. Gongli 1, phase 1, Gongli 2, which is a phase 2 in the south of Sudan, and there is a Mushar reservoir in Sudan, and there is a 4th project, but I don't recall the name. These 4 projects will make up for the loss of the 17 billion cubic meters that we're going to lose for a number of years. By the way, you're not going to lose the 17 billion cubic meters for good. You're gonna lose them while they're filling their lake behind the dam.
Right.
So if we were in partnership,
the share returns to normal.
Yeah.
Egypt's share will be returning to normal after
they get their
share.
But you cannot tell. Maybe they start a new reservoir elsewhere.
Right.
Yes. So because they have a plan for 34 reservoirs and dams.
Right, so it's important to not rely completely on the fact that when they're done with the dam that the water share is going to come back.
We need to be clever. We need to do a lot of things. We need to take care of these 4 projects, the Mushar Reservoir, the Gonglis, and the 4th project. This will make up for the loss.
Yes.
Also, we made some silly mistakes, like the Tushka project. The Tushka project, there is a Tushka spillway when we get very high flood and the lake is full of water and we don't know what to do with our water. We spill it away in the desert. So our friends in Ethiopia said, as long as you don't know what to do with the water and you're going to spill it away in a Tushka spillway, we might as well save you the energy and the headache, and we'll keep the water in behind the dam. We need to be realistic. We need to talk to our partners and neighbors. We need to have very strong relations with them. I think we need to be creative and have a good imagination. Meaning, in Congo, they have a great river, the Congo River. The Congo River discharges the same amount of water that the river Nile discharges. 1,300 billion cubic meter per year. And they only use 44% of that water, and the whole thing goes to the Atlantic Ocean. I have a project, and we studied it in our party, and you know, this is part of our program. If we reach an agreement with Congo and the rest of the 5 countries, Egypt, Sudan, Chad, Central Africa, and Congo, we could construct a dam on the river Congo. The name of the dam is the Super Inga.
Right.
This huge project will change not the face of Africa, it will change the face of the planet, because it will produce enough electricity to light the whole of Africa, or to export the electricity, because Africa does not need that much electricity right now, and for the next 15 years. You can export it to Europe through these 5 countries. And this will give Europe clean energy, and it will give Europe 20% of all their needs of electricity for 15 years. And Egypt could get a transit percentage of 2%, which is equal to 2 Aswan dams.
Right.
Because this dam will produce 100 times electricity of the Aswan dam. So if we get only 2% of this electricity, this means that we constructed 2 new Aswan dams.
Yes.
And if the pass of this power line go through our western desert, we could ask the allies who won the Second World War to clear the minefields, the devil fields that prevents us from developing the western desert. They could clear the land mines that they left in the Second World War, while they're getting their electricity through our western desert. A lot of things could take place. We need to look thoroughly. We need to have an ambitious plan. We cannot assume that Egypt on its own will develop Egypt. We need to look, you know, behind our borders, in Libya, in Sudan, south of Sudan, Chad, Congo. Where are we? We are not on an island. We are dealing with Egypt as if it's an island.
Right.
This is not right, and we need to establish closer.
Well, what more needs to be done? I mean, Ahmed mentioned that perhaps President Mohamed Morsi has tried to, you know, build bridges when it comes to Africa. But what do you think actually more needs to be done in what respect? I mean, how more do we need, other than projects, cultural exchange, for example?
Well, we need to stress on the fact that we are Africans as well. We're not only Arabs, we are Africans. And yes, the visit that President Morsi made to Ethiopia during the summit meeting was good, but we need more than investing 2 days in Ethiopia. We need a full-time commissioner to take care of our relations with the African countries. The Inga project is a very strategic project for us. We need to emphasize this. We need to work with our friends in Congo. We need to learn more about Africa. Our brothers in Sudan do not mind us going there and growing huge farmers over there. We need actually to have a closer look. There is a very important issue that it's a hairy issue right now. Everybody doesn't want to touch it, which is the transfer of water from river basins to outside river basins, to other countries that do not share the same basin. Like, assumingly that we're gonna construct the Inga, Super Inga project, and we will have electricity and everybody will be very happy.
Right.
But what about the water that goes to the Atlantic Ocean? It's a crime against humanity that you are just letting this water slip away into the Atlantic Ocean. You have 1,000 billion cubic meter every year that goes into the Atlantic Ocean. So if we have a program, our party, development for peace, not land for peace, no, development for peace. if this water is shared by all the countries in the area that requires water, it will change the face of the earth in this area. If we give some of this water, or the Congo sells some of this water to our friends and neighbors and the Palestinians,
right.
This will encourage the Palestinians to have better economical situation. Libya, even we encourage a country like Qatar, instead of just giving us loans or depositing money in our central bank, we will appreciate the fact that Qatar could assist us with the European Union in constructing the Super Inga project. And this is a commercial project.
Is it a problem now of vision or of planning, or what exactly? I mean, how are we going to address this?
This is a nightmare that we actually decided not to wake up of. We live in a continuous nightmare, and we need to snap out of it.
Right.
As if we lost our minds, as if there is no tomorrow. We need to have a vision, and we need to have a political will.
Do you think the problem is that we don't realize, or the government perhaps doesn't realize how far up in the priority list this should be?
I think the whole country is drawn into the marches and the strikes and the aggressiveness and the violence that we see, and we forgot about tomorrow. There will be a tomorrow, and there will be generations that will ask us, what did you do today?
But Doctor, what will Egypt do if the share of the Egyptian share of the Nile has decreased by 17 billion cubic meters a year? What are the steps that Egypt is going to be doing in the future to be maybe dealing with such a problem?
We need to take seriously the fact that we need to develop the southern portion of Egypt adjacent to the Lake Nasser behind the Aswan Dam.
Yes.
From the lake to the Red Sea, and from the lake to the Libyan borders, this stripe is 220 or 250 kilometers. This stripe could be developed. A military city similar to Al-Hammam or High Step could be constructed in the southern western corner that will prevent smuggling of narcotics or weapons, and it will give a lot of security to this part of the world. You remember we had a very famous accident a decade or less than a decade ago, about 5-6 years ago. Some tourists were ambushed over there.
Yeah.
So we need some military presence in this area. We need to be creative and create an artificial meadows area to establish a new industry in Egypt, which is the cattle growing. We might have an Egyptian cowboy very soon if somebody listens, because you know we've always wondered why do we get our cattle from Ethiopia and Sudan, and we don't, and they came from Darb al-Arba'in, by the way. They passed by Darfur through Darb al-Arba'in to Sohag and then to us. Why not us? Why don't we have a cattle growing business? We need to grow artificial meadows in this portion. The artificial meadows only consume 1/4 of the water that a regular and traditional agriculture consumes. Like if we grow a crop in this area, it will consume 1 meter, say. But if you grow meadows, it will consume 1/4 of that amount of water. So we need to be imaginative, creative, try to get experts, countries like Australia, countries who've done this before, and we should establish a new industry in this area and utilize our brothers, the Nubians. They're very familiar with their countries, and they want to go back to the shores of the Nasser Lake. They might as well help Egypt in getting this done.